So here we go. I hope you're all hitting record. And here is the introduction to our speaker. Our speaker today is Executive Coach Opal Berry. She currently works for she works for a contractor. She works for ResCare, I believe, which is contracted to the Texas Workforce Commission. And her topic is going to be Ask Me Anything with Opal Berry. You really can't ask her anything, but you can ask her anything about how to file for your unemployment compensation. That is her area of expertise that she's sharing with us today. You might recognize Opal if you ever visited the Texas Workforce Solutions South office, where she was working as an executive coach for the Texas Workforce Commission. Recently promoted, she is now in the Round Rock office. So we're very excited about that. She's with us today as a subject matter expert on filing for unemployment compensation, but her checkered past includes jewelry design and, we just learned last night, ownership of a McDonald's franchise. Currently, she also serves as vice president of the Launchpad Job Club Board of Directors. We're very pleased. We are so extremely fortunate to have her virtually with us today to answer some of our many questions about how the unemployment compensation process works. Please tell us how the sausage is made. I now give you Opal Berry.
Good morning, Kathy. Thank you. Is my mic on yet? Because I know I was muted for a little while there.
We hear you.
Okay, good. So I actually have not yet started working for ResCare. That's actually going to be my new job. I'll be starting that in the middle of April. So I am actually finishing up with the executive coaching. I'll actually be working with employers in terms of filling their workforce needs and consulting with them and the community organizations and county commissioners and city councils so that we can make sure that you can all receive the training that is necessary to help them to fill their workforce needs. So right now, though, I am finishing up the last few days of my executive coach position with the South Center, actually working for Texas Workforce Commission right now, but that's only for the next couple of days. I do want to explain to you what Workforce Solutions is. I'll start out with that. I get a lot of questions about that, and I know it's a little bit confusing. It was confusing to all of us when we first came to work here too. So Workforce Solutions is actually a contractor contracted by Texas Workforce Commission to manage the job search and reemployment function of unemployment. So we don't actually work for unemployment, but we know a lot of the requirements for unemployment. We know the job search requirements for unemployment, and we have been funneling as much of that actual unemployment information through us so that we can get it to you. So I'm actually going to start out with some of the questions that have already been submitted, and I think a lot of you may have some of the same questions. So I may be able to get a lot of your questions answered right off the bat. So again, we are actually not unemployment. So if you have very specific questions about your case, unfortunately, you will have to contact the unemployment services. They have actually extended their hours. So moving forward and starting tomorrow, being Saturday, I know, Monday through Friday, the hours will be 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. On Saturdays, they will be 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Bear in mind that the website is always open. It's 24 hours. And I'm going to take the opportunity right now to say that if you're trying to apply for unemployment and have had difficulty using that website, try in the wee hours of the morning, because most people don't think of that. During the day, it has been going down because there are so many people who do need to apply for unemployment. So try going online and applying during, I'm going to say anytime between midnight and 6 a.m. If a lot of you are like me, you're kind of night owls anyway. So try that. It may make it easier for you to get through. When it comes to calling, I always suggest that you start calling about 3 minutes before the designated opening time. Every clock is different, and your clock may be a little bit different from theirs, and you never know when you can get in. So try about 2 to 3 minutes before the actual opening time and just keep dialing. That way you stand a chance of getting in ahead of the rush and either eliminating or at least shortening that hold period. I know it's really frustrating right now. We are, as you can see, Workforce Solutions, we're working. We are working to help you. Most of our offices, we're not allowed to have a lot of people come into the offices, but we're available by telephone. And we are here trying to do the things that we can to help you get through this period of time. It is so difficult, and we do understand that. I'm going to start by saying that I'm going to start now answering some of the questions that I've come across. So this is the package that the federal government is finishing their voting on has been referred to as a stimulus package. It is not a stimulus package, it is actually a relief package. So any of the delays that you hear about in terms of holding back on rental evictions and mortgages, those are actually postponements. Those are not forgivenesses. So keep in mind that those things will have to be paid later on. And I do have a few suggestions as I go down the line as to ways that you can have some work and at least have some money coming in to help pay those bills. The more you can pay now, especially when it comes to rent and car notes, the less you will have to catch up later. It's never easy to catch up after unemployment, and this being such a surprise is really going to be difficult. The mortgage companies and banks are trying to offer some relief, but again, it's postponements. So in order to access unemployment benefits, you do have to go through the lines or the website, and I'm going to give you the numbers. So to apply for unemployment, the number is, get your pencils out, 800-939-6631. If you would like to request payment or find out about your claim status, the number is 800-558-8321. But please be patient because they are overwhelmed just like everyone and everything else is. They are trying their best. They are trying to get additional staff, and they are upgrading the servers so that they can handle more calls at a time so that you won't be bumped out as quickly as you have been. Again, we are not unemployment, but we try to find out as much as we can so that we can give you this information. But again, remember, the website is open 24 hours a day. Try that in the wee hours of the morning, midnight to 6. Those are the times when other people don't think of it. When it comes to job search, the job search requirement is being waived currently. For a couple of reasons. There aren't enough jobs happening right now that people can actually access. There are jobs out there, and when I get to the end of this, I actually have a couple in my head of, no, let me tell you right now. I know that Walmart is needing to hire 150,000 people nationwide, but we have Walmarts here. These are ways to get some money coming in so that you can at least pay some of those bills. Amazon is needing to hire 100,000 people. Instacart, the grocery shopping people, they are trying to hire 30,000 people. Just off the top of my head, I know that all the grocery stores are hiring. H-E-B in particular is hiring. Some of these figures I don't remember, and I apologize, I did not bring that list with me. I will try to post it on LinkedIn after we get done, though, so that you can reference it there. The numbers, again, are national, but the sanitation companies are hiring. Dollar Tree and Dollar General are hiring. CVS is hiring. And they're hiring in the tens of thousands of people. Somebody, I can't remember, is hiring. I think it might have been Dollar General is wanting to hire about 6,000 people. So these are places that are remaining open, and they're having trouble. They're having trouble keeping up because of the fact that the other stores aren't open, and the grocery stores are having a hard time keeping up. So keep those things in mind. But retail jobs do not exist right now. When it comes to things like TJ Maxx, any of the normal retailers, those stores are under demand to close because of the because of the stay-at-home order, and they're trying to keep this infection rate down so that we can get back to life. And I want to encourage all of you to think twice before you hop in that car and go someplace, and decide if it is something that you really need to do, because the more of us and the more that each of us can stay out of the streets and stay out and keep this virus from spreading, the quicker we can all get back to some semblance of normal life. If you're interested in training, things like consulting solutions that Kathy mentioned, contact your local Workforce Solutions office. There is the South office where I reside, from which I work. We are located on Burleson Road, right by Stasny, in South Austin. There is the East office, which is in the Eastview ACC campus. It's at the 1000 Weberville address. And there is the North office, which is the headquarters, and that one is located just north of 183 on the service drive of I-35. It is the very first driveway after Hannah Chevrolet. You can look those up online, just look up Workforce Solutions, and they do have the addresses of the locations there. In terms of enhanced UI, unemployment, I do not know the qualifications for that. That is information that you will need to get to unemployment. I'm reading from a list here. I mentioned the rent and eviction, so consider temporary work and part-time work. They do have provisions for you to be able to do that kind of work and not lose your unemployment. But if you make enough for them to deduct any, it stays in your account and can help to extend those unemployment benefits for you. So you do not lose your unemployment for that. So do check with unemployment in terms of the specific requirements and allowances for that. The benefits, the unemployment benefits, the federal extension is going to extend unemployment benefits beyond those 6 months that are allowed right now by 4 months. So that will allow a total of 10 months of unemployment benefits. A lot of this I'm getting from the news. I'm a news hound and I listen to and read everything I can. If your benefits have been denied, you can appeal. So follow the instructions on that letter that you received saying that you were denied for appeal. You always have the right to appeal, and quite frequently, if you do have a good reason, they will release that. And right now, I don't imagine a lot of people are going to be denied. So if you have been denied recently, try that. Let's see. So Workforce Solutions does not administer unemployment. Excuse me. I saw one question that asked if those extended and additional benefits were going to be administered by Workforce Solutions. All of the money is handled by unemployment themselves. So that phone number those 2 phone numbers that I gave you, those are going to be your lifelines. Try those early morning phone calls that I mentioned earlier. If you were receiving benefits before, but you got a job, apply again. The answer to should I apply is always going to be yes. You can find out for sure if you do apply. If you don't apply, you'll never know. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. And you'll be surprised right now, just about everyone can get benefits because of this situation. Those are the questions that I had prepared answers for. So Shannon, you can go ahead and send me some of the ones that are coming into you right now.
Okie dokie. Not a whole lot yet, but I'm sure they're coming.
Okay.
Christine had asked, do you have any idea about the current retail hourly rates? You know, if CVS is hiring, et cetera, are they hiring at a higher rate?
I do not know, but go on their website, because if they're hiring, they are going to, and CVS is one of the companies that is hiring a lot of people. So go on their website. The way to access all of those job postings is on the company websites.
By the way, there's a job posting on Indeed for drivers. I think it is specifically for drivers for Amazon. Driving one of their vans, and that is paying $17 to $22.50 an hour. So they've raised, and I think even their distribution center is up to 17.
Yes, they raised all of their
However,
hourly wages by
be
$2.
very careful about taking a job in an Amazon distribution center. I hate to dissuade you from that, but they are notorious for really harsh working conditions, often dangerous working conditions. And so, but the driver positions, yeah, if you can get one of those, that's not a bad deal.
Yes, they have raised that hourly wage by $2 for all of their positions.
Opal, I got another question. I don't think this is you. So guys, just try to keep your questions limited to everything having to do with unemployment. But Lewis did want to know about, like, how are the current job opportunities such as HEB, CVS, dollar stores, et cetera, assisting their prospective candidates with health and safety precautions to keep their workers extra safe while working with the public, hence working with a community that we were uncertain of, that, keeping social distancing. I mean, I don't know that you have that answer, but I think we all kind of figured that out ourselves.
Yeah, I don't have that specific answer, but I do know that several of those companies that I mentioned who are hiring, Papa John's is hiring too, for drivers, and they have instituted like drop-off contactless deliveries. But most of those companies that I mentioned are, several of those companies that I mentioned are offering sick time just in case you decide you don't feel well. Again, that list that I have that I will share on LinkedIn, I actually have little notes next to each of them in terms of what it is they're hiring for, and any special things like whether they're offering sick time or any benefits. One of those that I mentioned is offering full benefits right away. So do check when I get done with this. I'll go. It's something that I typed up and distributed among my coworkers so that they could distribute them to job seekers. So I will just copy that and paste it onto LinkedIn so you can read everything that I submitted.
Could you give those two numbers again? People were just trying to scramble to get them.
Oh, sure. So the first of all, for applications, I want to encourage you to try it online, because that is the most efficient way. And again, those odd hours that I mentioned will serve you well, I believe. But if you need to apply on the telephone or have to call for some reason to find something out, the number is 800-939-6631. That's 800-939-6631. To request payment, and they do suggest that once you get your application in, go ahead and start requesting payment and not wait for them to determine your eligibility. So that's for requesting payment, or for claim status on your existing claim. Once you've filed it, the number is 800-558-8321. Again, 800-558-8321.
Fantastic. Now, I know we're getting a few that are kind of very specific, but Laura asked, if you were on unemployment prior to the virus, will you get extended for the 4 months?
I believe so. That's the way I read it, because it would be unfair to give that additional 4 months to new people and not give it to those people who, if you were already receiving unemployment, the chances of your being able to get your job have been reduced considerably. So I would venture, again, I don't work for unemployment, but I would venture to say, based on everything that I've read, that you would be eligible for that. Again, specifically, contact them, because I don't want to give you bad information, but I'm
in
giving
years
you the best
past.
information I can. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Excuse me. In years past, back during the recession, and I believe even the dot-com bust, people were notified. Sometimes people had exhausted their benefits and hadn't been on unemployment for months, and they got a letter that said, you are now eligible for an extension. And so absolutely, I believe that if they do it in the same way that they did it before, people will be able to reap those additional benefits.
Yeah, that's only fair. Go ahead, Shannon.
Okay. So this is from Terry. So the news stated the weekly unemployment insurance amount is additive on top of the amount of the weekly benefit of the state's already offer. Does that sound correct to you?
That does sound correct to me. And that is that additional monies that I said you're going to want to check with on it, because I don't know what the eligibility requirements are for that. there may not be any. But oftentimes, most of the time, unemployment benefits are based, at least to some degree, on the salary that was being earned prior to that. So in terms of complete eligibility, do check with unemployment.
Okay, this is from Elizabeth. If I work multiple part-time jobs, how do I put it on one employment application? If one job doesn't make enough to qualify for unemployment, will they consider the other part-time jobs as well?
That I don't know, because your benefits are determined by the contribution by your employer. So it depends, a lot of that is going to depend on whether both companies have been contributing toward it. But if there is, and I have not looked at an unemployment application in a really long time, if there is some place for you to write anything at all, note that. And unemployment most of the time contacts you to get any additional information from you. So if you write that in a comment section or an additional information section, they will, I can with almost with certainty say that they will call you for additional information, and you'll be able to give that.
Okay, from Tara, if they have waived work search requirements, can we put 0 on total work search when we fill out the request?
I don't know. I don't know. If you get ready, when you get ready to make a payment request, they may have changed that question right now, because it is being waived. The governor waived that. Our governor waived that. So I would like to think that they have changed that. So I'm sorry, that's a question that only they would be able to answer. I do know it's waived, though.
If I
That's
can,
the fact.
if I can say something real quickly, do not quit your job search during this period. Companies are hiring. Companies are hiring, and you just have to keep at it. We had 4 people recently get jobs. One was featured in Shannon's newsletter this Tuesday. This guy is 67 years old, and he didn't even have exactly the qualifications for the job, and he got hired, for crying out loud, and got hired by the state. And they said, gave him, I think, a 3 or 4 week, your start date is going to be mid-April, is I believe what they said to him. One of my neighbors just got a job working, for the most part, remotely. She got a job that pays her a ton of money at Google through Accenture. A recruiter found her on LinkedIn. I have another, we have another job club person who got hired by a technical company just before all of this got really bad. And he was supposed to start the following Monday, and they FedExed him a laptop and said, "You're going to work from home." And then the last one was somebody who took advantage of a job as a driver because so many things have to be delivered now. So companies are hiring.
Yes, they
Somebody
are.
said, how do we get a job where we're safe? We don't have a lot of contact with people. Well, you work remotely. So that's how I started this, is update your resume and your profile and say that you'll work from home. But companies are very interested in hiring people. Don't quit your job search now.
No. So just because the work search requirement has been waived doesn't mean you shouldn't look for a job. I mean, looking for a job is to your benefit. I just mentioned that I'm actually starting a job in the middle of April, and I'm in the process of getting the paperwork done. So, and just like Kathy mentioned, I've had several of the executives that I've worked with. Part of my executive coach work here has been developing and managing an executive discussion and networking group. A lot of you that are on there, Darren Jones being one of them, has been a part of that group. And so I've had several people who have been a part of that group who are going to work now. So don't stop looking for a job just because they're waiving the requirement. Looking for a job, getting a job is to your benefit, because you get to get your life back. You get to not have those bills build up so that you won't have to play catch up later on. I've always said, even though they said that you had to do 5 job searches, to get your unemployment benefits. Somebody who really wants a job is going to do more than that anyway. Looking for a job is for you. It's not for them. So get your life back if you can. Keep on applying. It's just that it's a little bit more difficult now, and they're trying to alleviate that pressure for you.
Okay. Christian has a question. I think I can decipher this. It sounds sort of like, if you're getting unemployment now, either 6 or 10 months, is that just one time, or can you reapply? I mean, as you work, when you get laid off, can you reapply?
So I'm not sure if these unemployment changes that they're making federally are going to affect this, but up to this point, your unemployment claim has remained open for a year, which means if you filed for unemployment, you received for 3 months, then you got a job, your claim remained open for a rolling year from the time that you applied. So if you got a job after 3 months, got laid off after a month, you still had that would be 4 months, you still had 6 more months that your claim remained open. So because you could only receive for 6 months does not mean that you could not go back to it. So if you had unemployment, you got a job, now you've gotten laid off again, you can reopen that claim that you had open. Or if you have lost your job, just apply. Everybody apply. All they can do is say no, and I don't think they're going to be doing that very frequently now.
Okay. From Herschel, is there a way can we qualify for the Pell Grants? If you want to get a course at like ACC, does the $5,500 need to be repaid? What would be the process?
I know nothing about Pell Grants.
Right.
I am familiar with the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act. That's WIOA. That is the funding stream that Workforce Solutions manages. Pell Grants are federal grants, and so we have absolutely no control or information over that. But ACC will be able to tell you.
I know a little bit about Pell Grants, and that is, it is a grant, so you do not have to pay it back. And it's based on financial need. And so talk to ACC, or I guess that's what you mentioned, ACC,
Yeah.
their financial aid office, and
Yeah.
and they'll have you apply and give it a shot.
Yeah.
Kathy,
and they'll probably have information about how that's working now too.
Exactly.
Kathy, we adore you. So when you come on, please put your video on. It's comforting. A really great question. If a company folds due to the virus, do the company founders get to file for unemployment like their employees?
I believe you do get to, and there's two parts to my answer. One is that all along, if you formed a corporation, if you owned a business and formed a corporation and took a salary, that made you an employee. I know that from personal experience. So that made you an employee, and an employee. You had been paying toward unemployment out of your salary, and so yes, you could apply and receive unemployment benefits. The other reason is that I did read in all of my reading that now contractors and self-employed people will be able to receive unemployment benefits. Apply.
Okay.
I have one correction to that. Unemployment money does not come out of your salary. Unemployment money is taxed by employers. So
yeah,
there are some executives
from the state, and some of it comes from the employer.
There are some executives, especially small business owners, who do not pay the tax on themselves, and then they find, they try to draw unemployment, and there's no money in the fund for them because
so
they
right
didn't
now
pay it in.
that might not be the case. Yeah,
but,
right now that might not be the case. And that's why I said
they don't take it out of your salary.
That's why I said if you formed a corporation and paid yourself a salary, that's when you were entitled to unemployment benefits.
Okay.
If you paid the tax.
Sorry. Elizabeth is asking if I've already been denied unemployment benefits, what's the best way to appeal?
Follow the instructions on that letter of denial.
That's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Katie, she had a full-time job, applied and was approved for unemployment benefits, but she never received them. And she did 1099, consultant part-time work. Now that contract job is over. So how does this work?
Apply again.
There you go.
Apply again, and if it was less than a year ago, that claim may still be open.
Okay. This one is a little long, and it was privately to me, but sorry, AM, I'm going to share it with everybody because I think it's appropriate. How do I determine what the best time to apply is? This month or next to maximize?
Apply now. Apply now. Don't wait. Apply now.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Do yourself a favor and just apply. If there's some reason like a severance package or something where they're going to want you to wait, let them tell you that. Just go ahead and apply.
Okay. So from James, do you know if in order to get the additional UI benefits and extended time, one needs to take any special steps to make that happen, or should it happen automatically?
You're going to have to ask unemployment that. You're going to have to call one of those numbers and ask them that. That I don't know.
Okay.
Because I don't work for, I don't work for actual unemployment. This is information that unemployment has provided us or I've actually read in the news myself.
From Darren, if your benefits have expired or run out, can you reapply?
Reapply.
Okay.
Only they know if they'll pay you again, but I have a feeling you will.
All right. Elizabeth is an independent contractor, no taxes taken out of her paycheck. Does this disqualify her for unemployment?
That makes you self-employed, and based on the news that I have read, concerning the relief package that they've passed, that will qualify you for it. Apply.
Okay. Erin has a really interesting one. She got laid off, like so many right now, but some of her coworkers are keeping their jobs, but they had to take a pay cut. Can they file for lost wages? Is there salary limit when they're allowed to be eligible?
I doubt that they'll be able to get lost wages, but apply. You never know.
Okay. The rest of the question. Okay. Sorry.
I know people who have had to take pay cuts, but as long as you still have that job, I don't imagine they're going to cover that.
Here's an interesting one. Is the unemployment compensation rate the same throughout the state? Does it vary from company to company?
No, it's the same throughout the state, and it's based upon your the salary that you were making.
Oh, and then Erin said the UI phone message says there is a box on the online form that we should check to indicate job loss due to the virus.
There you go.
There you go. Well, that's what I have for right now. If they keep
and when you apply for unemployment, you're supposed to say emergency unemployment. There's that. Oh, now that they have that box, you probably don't have to worry about it though.
Okay, so I'm going back to see if I can find AM again.
Yes, the waiting week has been waived. I just saw that one come through. So the waiting period has been waived.
Okay, I'm gonna go back to AM because he got back to me, or she got back to me, about when to apply. More generally, what are the rules about how much you have to make in what quarters, and what quarters are counted when you apply?
I don't know that. The calculations, we don't know that. And it's very complicated. I remember from a few years ago when I had to do it. So when you apply, they give you that formula. I don't know what it is now, but it is, at least it used to be, in the application. So really read that application, because I remember a few years ago when I applied for unemployment, I made that calculation for myself. I went ahead and filed unemployment, but somebody told me apply anyway. And my response was, wait like 2 weeks and do it. So make that calculation. It is in there. But go ahead and apply and let them tell you specifically whether they want you to wait.
Okay. Terry asks, has the waiting week been waived?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I saw that one come across. And so the waiting period has been waived. I will, however, caution you that, especially because there are so many people applying, it can generally, they say it'll take a couple of weeks for them to make a determination. But I just received this morning some more information from TWC saying that it can take 2 to 4 weeks for them to make that determination.
Okay. Jim is asking, what is the maximum compensation? Because he compared ours with someone in Washington, like Seattle area.
So the actual benefit amounts are by state. So last I knew, I don't work for unemployment. Last I knew, the maximum here was roughly somewhere right around $500. I think it might be $510 or something like that.
It's $521.
There you go.
There you go. Bingo. Terry wins the prize. He chimed in first.
There you go.
All right. Anybody else? Because we've got another 15 minutes if we need it, unless you feel like everything's been answered and you're just going to be able to get online and apply at 1:30 in the morning.
I do really recommend that. I mean, you don't have to get up in the morning. Do it in the middle of the night and save yourself some heartache and frustration.
All right. I'm not seeing any more questions. Yes, the recording will be available. We will make it available. We're actually going to put it on the website because we think this is very important. Kimberly has asked, if you're approved for UI, do you only have to look for work in Texas, for Texas UI?
If you're asking me that if you're only allowed to work to look in Texas, no, you're allowed to look any place that you want to. If you are willing to relocate, look for a job wherever you want to. It's about you, and it's about you being able to get your life back. So just because you're receiving unemployment from Texas does not mean that you are only allowed to look for jobs and take a job in Texas.
Okay. Herschel's going back to the idea of like you having your own business. What if you didn't take a salary for yourself?
If you didn't take a salary, then well, you know what, you're still self-employed. So that taking of a salary has always been the case. But in this case, based on the information that I read, any self-employed person right now is at least most likely eligible to receive. So go ahead and apply.
I think I know the answer to this. It's probably no, because the calling the numbers, overnight wouldn't work.
No, they don't open until 7. And that's when I say start calling 2 to 3 minutes before they open. Before the actual time, 2 to 3 minutes before your clock says 7 o'clock. So like try calling at 6:50, start calling at 6:57 during the week, because the clocks may be different. That's the way. And I actually have been making that recommendation for several years. I made it up, and I've gotten lots of confirmation that it works. So start calling a few minutes before your clock says it's opening time.
Now, this is Matt put this out to kind of everybody. This may be something you may or may not know, but does anybody know if the one-time payment of $1,200 for families will be clawed back later for taxes?
No, that's a gift as far as I understand. And when it comes to that federal money, I'm listening to the same news reports that you are, but that's a gift. Whether it's going to be applied to salary and required to have taxes paid on it, I don't know, but based upon the reasoning and the processes that they're going through, I don't think that's going to be taxable. Okay. But I'm not a tax accountant, and I don't work for the IRS.
True. Katie's asking, as a contractor, how can she apply? Should I show that?
Yeah, definitely show it, because that is, I read that specifically, that contractors are going to be able to go ahead.
Okay. And Lewis is kind of going back to that whole thing about, if you're interviewing and you're going to get the job, what are the corporations doing to keep you safe? Like maybe complying with OSHA standards or CDC right now?
You'll have to ask the employer.
Yeah.
But they are, as far as I know, I have an employer too, and I'm working through this. So they are doing the best that they can to keep you safe, but they are not, there's not a mandate in terms of what they have to do. They always have to follow the OSHA requirements and standards. So OSHA requirements and standards have not changed. Employers are required, though, I believe, at least ethically, to let you know if there's a chance that you may have been exposed in your work. Now, if you get exposed outside of work, that's on you.
Okay. Mackenzie says the message from TWC that he got, sorry, Mackenzie, said that the job search requirements wouldn't be waived until April 5th. Is that the date that everyone else got?
I haven't seen any dates. The information that I have says they're going to be waived. That's all I know, because I don't work for unemployment. I heard the governor say they're waived.
Well, you can always just say that, I guess.
The governor said they're waived. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Let me see. Somebody said that their requirements were lowered last week, so that's a good thing.
That's good. But they said they were going to be waived, so you may yet get another notification that they're being waived.
And just everybody who's really concerned regarding just the general exposure, I posted in here, so you probably saw it, but being that we're pretty sure my husband and I had it because our symptoms were compatible, but at the time there was no testing. So we've definitely been self-sequestering. We were lucky enough to get the N95 masks. If you cannot get a mask, I mean, a bandana, anything, I mean, it's not great, but you can put those kind of things on. And I did go to Sally, which probably is not open right now, but probably at CVS or something like that. You can get gloves that are, you know, I got those for hair color. Yes, I do color my hair. And
most of us do.
But CVS might have something like that. Even if you have to buy hair color at CVS, they will have gloves in there. So just possible ways to stay safe. If you can get hand sanitizer, if you can get the wipes, wipe down your steering wheel, wipe down the, you know, if you go get gas, wipe, you know, don't even touch the pump thing if you can avoid it. If you have to, wear gloves.
Put some gloves in there.
Right, exactly. Just what you would need to do to be safe. Just use your common sense. You know, they are very right. We do not realize how often we touch our faces.
Yes. Oh, I know. And I am having a heck of a time not doing that. Put some hand sanitizer in your car. If you have a small hand sanitizer, you know, everywhere we go, they've always given us these little gifts of hand sanitizer. And we kind of, if you're anything like me, you throw them in a drawer someplace. So, hi, Cedar, I see you there. If you have them in a drawer someplace, pull them out and use them. Put one in your car, put one in your briefcase or your purse. I have one, and I have wipes that I'm going to put in the car. The gas pump is full of all kinds of stuff. Put some old gloves in your car and use those to pump your gas. That's what I'm doing myself. I have old leather winter gloves that look like I took a shower or cleaned my bathroom in them, but they are keeping my hands off that gas pump.
Christine, excellent question. Kathy, you mentioned putting open to remote work on your LinkedIn profile. Where would be the best place to indicate that?
In your title.
You can put it in your, you can put open to remote opportunities in the headline if you have room there. If not, the next most weighted section is the About Me. And you can put that, I don't think it matters where in the About Me section, because it'll just scan it for that keyword. So you could put it at the bottom. You can also, I think it's always good to have keywords, it's kind of a keyword dump at the bottom of your About Me section. I think that's a good idea. And when you do that, put open to remote opportunities, and then also put all of those, as many of those keywords as possible about the collaborative software and platforms that you can use. Stick all of that in there as well. The more you can beef that up, the better it is. And then join the LinkedIn group Remote Workers. Don't forget to do that. And go into Indeed and put just remote in the remote Austin, Texas, put that as your keyword. And I swear to you, you will find some terrific jobs by doing that.
Yeah, put it in your title on LinkedIn. I am an authorized LinkedIn workshopper, authorized by LinkedIn. Whatever you can put in your title, that's what people are going to see first.
Kathy, so somebody, Terry said that they put in remote work in the search bar, nothing came up. So is there a specific URL for it?
It's a group. You'd go into, I haven't tried to do it myself, but I'll do it right this minute and get back to you if there's time. You go into the search box and it'll drop down and it'll say, are you looking for people, companies, something groups? And say you're looking for groups, and then once you get into that, put in remote workers. But I also posted on our LinkedIn group, I posted an article that was just a terrific article, and I will I'll repost it. But it was all about this exactly what I'm talking about. It was about defining yourself as a remote candidate, and I think that remote worker thing was in that article, but I'll try to find it and either post it on this this session or stick it, you know, on the website or somewhere like that as well. But I'll go look for it right this minute.
Opal, do you know what phone number they should call if any specific questions about how the process has changed?
That 939-6631 is going to be your best bet.
Okay.
I don't think that the process has changed. Only the requirements and the extension of the people who can be approved for it.
Yeah, Herschel, I know you've asked this a couple times. I just don't know that Opal would have the answer to this. Should we sign off on a release agreement that asks us to agree that one wasn't exposed to harmful germs at the employer's site?
I would not recommend that. I mean, just in general, I wouldn't recommend that because you don't know that you weren't exposed.
Truth.
Unless they make you refuse to pay you, or if they owe you some money, but I wouldn't recommend that just on general principle, frankly.
Terry, for Kathy, I know that you're giving a link to the group that you think it is, but Kathy and Opal have their chat turned off so they wouldn't be distracted. Kathy, if you want to turn it on and under Terry Robbins, confirm that that is the actual group, if you can, or we can post it. Well, we can definitely post it on the website. Scott, we're going to have a lot of stuff to give you for the website.
I'm actually seeing the chats that are coming through.
Oh, okay, good. I thought you turned it off. So.
I should have, but apparently I didn't. I can't keep up with them though.
Oh, okay, so the link above that was posted by Martha apparently is the correct one. So there you go, folks.
Yes, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. It says it's linkedin.com/groups/8916105. Join it.
Man, thank you guys. This is really great. I mean, we're all in this together, so your support is amazing. Thank you.
I hope I've been able to offer you information that is helpful to you. I'm going to have a lot of, moving forward with the position that I'm moving to, I'll have a lot of new information. I won't go into it now, but I will. I had actually been posting some things on my Facebook page, but I will post at least this list of jobs that I know and the numbers of people that they're looking for and what they're specifically hiring for. I will post that on LinkedIn when we get done here. So reach out.
All right, Kathy, I think you're on because it sounds like we got to where we needed to, at least this time around. I will let everybody know that I'm going to see about getting John Riojas. If you were at the club last year, hopefully you weren't, but if you were, he is with unemployment benefits from San Antonio. And so we're going to see if we can't get him on here. And then he was scheduled for the next month anyway. So we'll do another one of these because we know that, even if it's not you, others will have these kind of questions as well. But gosh, Opal, thank you. You've been a wealth of information. People are very scared. They're very nervous and they're very frustrated.
I read everything I can possibly find about this. So the things that I'm saying, the things that I'm saying are coming from the news, from actually what's happening. This is not word of mouth. This is not I heard. These are things that I actually read. Like I said, I've been a news hound since I was a kid, and so I still am. I wake up to it at 5 o'clock in the morning.
One last question. I think this one actually is really very pertinent. Does Work in Texas have remote jobs listed?
Yes, in fact, okay, let me tell you this about Work in Texas. For those of you who haven't been on Work in Texas for a while, in August, we got a whole new Work in Texas. And you can search really specifically, and it is aggregating jobs from all different places. So it's aggregating jobs from Indeed, it's aggregating jobs from corporate websites, hospitals, social media like LinkedIn. When you register and you get some matches, at the very bottom of the screen, they have a legend as to where they're coming from. And along the right-hand side of the screen, there is a column that says source that tells you where these jobs came from. But if you're on Work in Texas, go to job search and go to the advanced job search tab. I think it's the second from the left. The first is quick job search. The second is advanced. Do that advanced job search tab. As you work down, there is a selection where you can select remote work. So you can tell Work in Texas now exactly what you want and exactly what you want to see. You can set up what they call a virtual recruiter, which is like the search agents that you would sign up for with LinkedIn. But with Work in Texas, it's going to give you exactly what you asked for. You can tell it how often you want it to run, if you want it to run weekly, daily, monthly. And so you can get really targeted and tailored job search matches that way. I highly recommend that you go in there. And if you are, if you're not comfortable with Work in Texas, go to the East Center. I do have someone who's going to take it over here, but they're just getting started for it, getting started with it. Go to the East Center and go to Dennis Jones' Work in Texas classes. They're broken down into part 1 and part 2, and he can give you a detailed Work in Texas class and show you how to use it to your benefit. It really is much better than it used to be, and it has a lot more tools in it than it used to. I trained him, so I know he's doing a great job.
All right.
And I have something else to say too. If you get called for one of these remote jobs, then you're going to have a video interview. You know that. And I just posted an article that came out of Austin Digital Jobs from Lanny Rosales about tips for acing your video interview. And then the last time I made a presentation at Launchpad, it was on how to ace your video interviews, including HireVue. And that PowerPoint presentation is on my LinkedIn profile. So under About Me, it's got featured, and I've got 3 different PowerPoint presentations. One of them is how to ace your video interviews, and about HireVue as well, with specific questions that they ask and how they score and that sort of thing. And so you can look at that. Plus, I believe Paul's got that video on our YouTube channel, so you can look at that as well. But make sure that once you finally get an interview for a remote job, that you do not blow your video interview. So, and my best tip is one that I am utilizing right this minute. I have taped 2 smiley faces next to my camera. So when I answer my questions, I'm looking right at those people and not looking down at my laptop, but I'm looking right there at the camera, and that's a good trick to know if you're having a video interview. That is.
I'm sorry. I just saw a question about I think it said our Dennis Jones class is virtual, which reminded me, okay, so I lied because they had to cancel all the workshops. So as soon as they're able to let people back into the centers, do go and to his classes.
Okay.
Are we done here?
Yeah, Kathy, take us away. You know, you're always the one that brings us in and takes us out.
Well, I'm so sorry that Shannon doesn't have any of her funky little gifts to give you, Opal, but know that we're giving you funky little gifts in our mind, and maybe we'll think of something in the future. But anyway, I hope that this was successful for all of you. If it didn't work, send all of your complaints to Shannon, and send all of your kudos to Opal. And I'll just be Switzerland and not do anything, because that's kind of how I roll. So anyway, be safe, be happy, get busy, learn something, engage, have fun. This will pass. Believe science. Follow what the doctors say. Not the politicians. Follow what the doctors say, and
Exactly.
and we'll all survive together. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye, thanks.
Bye.